2017 is a game changer for Formula One for many reasons, but the principal one being that it has changed hands. Bernie Ecclestone, the man who ruled the roost for 40 years, is no longer making any of the big decisions. Bernie Ecclestone is a little man with enormous energy, and he used that energy to lift himself more or less by the bootstraps from being a second-hand car salesman to one of the wealthiest men in sport. If you're talking about Bernie Ecclestone's roles in the sport, he's actually played many parts, because way back in the day, I'm talking about the 50s now, he actually was a driver. Not a very good one, but he was a driver. But when he was racing, he realized that actually there could be a bit of business to be had there as well. He disappeared for a while, and when he came back as a team owner. He owned the Brabham team, and when he was doing that, he could see where the sport was going wrong. He could see where it needed to raise its game to a professional standard. If Bernie's to be remembered for any one specific thing, it was his ability to realize and maximize the effect of TV coverage for the sport. Because what the TV companies used to do was they would choose the races they wanted. The Monaco Grand Prix, for example. Or the BBC would choose their home Grand Prix at Silverstone. So he said, no, if you want to do those races, you've got to do them all. We want coverage for all the Grand Prix we're doing, the 15 or 16 Grand Prix, as it was at the time, and you have to sign a deal for that. So he just turned the thing on its head, and he made a template, if you like, for other sports to follow with regard to utilizing television to the maximum, not only for the coverage, but also financially. Bernie was very determined, and he wouldn't take no for an answer. And so, of course, along the way, that got a lot of people's backs up. He probably was, without question, the most difficult man to interview, because his answers would be monosyllabic and evasive, because he really didn't want to tell you anything, because he didn't want you prying into his business of making money. One example, for example, of this ruthlessness was the 2000 British Grand Prix. Now, the organisers at Silverstone were trying to run the race, they were trying to negotiate a better deal for themselves. Bernie wanted more money. It got a bit fraught, so he simply switched the date from the traditional July date to April. And of course the weather was appalling. Silverstone nearly went under, literally under the mud, but also financially as well because of that. And he had that power to do that. The spectators suffered as a result because they had to go through these conditions. He didn't care, but he got his deal done with Silverstone. So that gives you one little clue as to what he was like and to how he would upset some people along the way. The new company, Liberty Media, as the title suggests, they are very aware of how to promote the sport. They can see where all the faults have lain. They've got a guy called Ross Brawn in charge of the technical side. Now, Ross has won championships with Ferrari, Benetton and his own team. He knows what Formula One's all about. If you like, he's the poacher term gamekeeper. And he can see exactly what needs doing, and it seems that they are going to do that, and Formula One was very much in need of it because it was rapidly losing its way, TV figures were down, and it needed a boost, and I think we're going to get it. Along the way, of course, he made some enemies, but overall, Bernie Ecclestone, the man who ruled the roost for 40 years, did it a lot of good, and he will be remembered for the man that made Formula One what it is today.